You know, I'm really conflicted on this one. I'm both really excited and really nervous. So, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Talk. And In a Violent Nature has just been announced to have a sequel. Okay, so if you don't know what the movie is, I'll just give you a brief explanation. I mean, most of the people who watch this who probably know what the movie is or have seen it. But in a nutshell, it's basically a slasher movie, but it's all from the perspective of the killer. And it was so insanely good. Like, I honestly think it's going to very easily be a top 5 horror movie of the year. It was really like, I loved everything about it because I personally, I hate the slasher genre. The Friday the 13th movies are some of the most painful experiences I've ever gone through. I hate the slasher genre so much with a burning passion. And within a violent nature, it acknowledges all the cliches and everything that goes into being a slasher, and just kind of it acknowledges it, but it acknowledges it through a unique perspective because you're watching Johnny, the serial killer in this one. Well, just I guess just the killer in this movie. You're watching Johnny just walking around, and you see like what the lives are of someone like Jason. And the answer to that question is a really boring life because I mean, Johnny lives a really boring life. He's just walking around the entire time trying to get from point A to point B. And it does so much work into just kind of like forcing you to just sit there and just watch. And I that's why I always value the movie theater experience over everything else. You can't just I mean, if you have any decency inside of you, you can't just get on your phone and just look at something else. You're trapped in that movie theater with nothing to look at but the screen. And so it forces you to kind of look at a slasher from a different lens and make you think about like what all the other Friday the 13th movies actually looked like. Like they were all like from Jason's perspective, he was just walking around the woods the entire time trying to get from point A to point B. And from that, like it works so well, and like it acknowledges all the cliches and makes it just it works in what it was trying to do. However, I don't think it needs a sequel. So the interesting thing about In a Violent Nature is it's set in its own movie franchise, and this isn't the first one. This is a sequel movie. This is could be like the second, maybe even the third movie of this franchise, and you just kind of get plopped right into the situation and just kind of see this random slasher franchise from the killer's perspective inside the second movie. And so obviously, like you can continue doing more things with it, but I don't know how you continue making a unique perspective into this because it really works as like just like a one shot thing. It doesn't need to have a sequel. You don't need to explore more about Johnny's like life and like what goes on with him. And by the way, I just want to point out I fully believe in time Johnny could 100% be like on the same level of Jason or Michael. I really do believe he's one of like the greatest slasher killers ever put to screen. And that's saying something because there's been some really good things. I hate the Friday movies a lot, but I will say Jason, every single movie is usually the only good thing about it. And so I really believe Johnny could be on that level where he's like he's the thing about Johnny is that you understand why he does the things he does, and you understand that like he's just a little kid. Like he's just a kid who just wants to play with toy cars and just he just wants his mom to love him. Like that's all he wants. Like he's just a little kid trapped in a giant psycho body, and that's one reason why this movie works so well is because it has this a whole other layer of just what makes Johnny so good, and you understand why he does what he does. And I get that you can explore more about Johnny. I really think that if there are sequels, I'm sure Johnny's going to be the best part about it because I loved everything he did in that movie. But I really don't know what more you do to make this more unique. I mean, you acknowledged all the cliches, everything about the slasher genre, and you've done it all really well in the 90 minutes you got. And there's just nothing more you need to do. There's no reason to be bothering with a sequel. Like, Chris Nash, the director, I mean, if you just look at what he's done, like, this is the only movie he's done, and like he did it for like an amazing job at it. And I would love to see him just take a stab at a new story, another original horror movie, or a thriller. I mean, a comedy. I don't care. I always believe that like just because you make a good genre, like a movie that's in one genre, doesn't mean you should always stick to it. And I'd love to see Chris Nash try new things, try out different story ideas or everything. I don't want him to be attached with this sequel. But I mean, again, also, it's clearly what he wants to do. He wants to do the sequel. And I mean, if he wants to make the movie, if he has a good idea for a sequel, then sure, go ahead, go make the movie. I mean, I'm not going to start complaining like, oh, you have to do this, this, and this. I mean, if you want to do the movie, go ahead. I'm just saying that I don't see why you have to focus on a sequel. But I mean, every single original movie now has to have a sequel eventually. Like, if there's ever managed to be a really successful original idea, then I mean, all the producers are going to be jumping on it trying to make a second one. And that's just how the business works. You got to make a sequel to an original movie, and then eventually that has to become a franchise. Everything has to become a franchise. It's always sequels and sequels to everything. And it sucks because In a Violent Nature is such a perfect one shot movie. Just do that and that's it. That's all you got to do with the franchise, which sucks. It's even a franchise to begin with, but I understand why. I'm not plain stupid. It made $4.5 million, and the budget, I'm seeing one number saying $500,000, which, by the way, that movie looks amazing for only being a budget of $500,000. Like, I honestly, like, I thought it was at the very least 2 million. Like, it was obviously a low budget movie, but like $500,000, that's a wild number to think about. But I mean, you make a movie for that cheap and you make a pretty decent profit off of it. Obviously, you're going to be trying to make sequels to it. And so I can't blame them. It's just, I really wish that Chris Nash just try something else. But at the very least, he's returning to direct it, so it's going to still be the same director. It's not going to be one of those franchises that just runs through a bunch of directors and doesn't have the true vision as it originally had when it started. But I mean, I don't know. I'm happy at least that this movie was successful. That Chris Nash broke out with this movie, and yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna go see the movie. I really loved the first one. It was such a brilliantly unique movie, and I'm sure that they can find a new cool idea to do with the sequel. I just really wish they won't. But yeah, I mean, that's really all the thoughts I have about the news about this sequel. I mean, what do you think? I mean, are you excited about the sequel? What did you think of the first one? Did you hate it, love it? I mean, tell me all your thoughts down below in the comments. And I mean, if you want, like and subscribe to the channel, share the video. I mean, I do all of these sorts of news updates, movie reviews, box office updates, some essays too that I like to do. You should check them out. I got some pretty good ones if I do say so myself. But I mean, yeah, that's really all to say. So it's movie talk. See ya.